There I am.
Well, welcome.
There I am. I made it. I made it to the show. I made it to my own show. So we're great.
All right, how you doing?
I'm doing well. This has gotten quite a lot of commentary in the background. I got several people reached out to me. And I guess we should probably start with the comment. We're not anti-vaxxers, right? I'm not against the vaccine. I'm not against anybody getting the vaccine. I encourage my parents to get the vaccine. My son has the vaccine. Jeff Watts has joined us. We're gonna bring him on here in just a minute to share his opinion. And so we've had a lot of people that took this as an anti-vaccine movement or show, and it isn't. I believe the vaccine is great for those that want to get the vaccine, and that's really what this was about. So Larry, I'll let you just kind of share your thoughts on it as we go from there, and then we'll bring Jeff in here and we'll get his thoughts.
Yes, so this is about a forum to discuss free choice and free will. In no way am I anti-vaccine. I've got many family members, most family members that have the vaccine. And so I'm all in favor of anyone that feels the vaccine is the best way to protect themselves.
Yeah, I'm sending, Jeff, I'm sending you an invite to join us here in just a second. I will say I found this really, really interesting, and you can read into it what you will, but I invited several people. I use Facebook, I use LinkedIn. I took a lot of options to try and figure out the best way to get other people on here to share your opinion or share their opinion. And I'm sharing it with you on your Facebook, Jeff. So I just messaged you. You should have it here momentarily. There you are. I see you, and we'll need to bring audio on when you come back in. But so for me, I wanted people to be able to come on here and share their opinion and share what was going on and have an opportunity to sound off. But I only got people that seemed to be against vaccine mandates and mask mandates that were willing to join. So I say all that to say this: if you're hearing this and you have a different opinion, let us know. We'll bring you in. We'll invite you on live to share your thoughts. A majority of the people that we reach in these broadcasts, we reach after the fact. So live may not be the best option, but I hope someone that is watching live decides to chime in and join us and share their thoughts. So Larry, I guess we could start with the masks. So what are your thoughts on the mask mandates that are coming out? It's a controversial topic. I'm going to bring you on in just a second here, Jeff. Seems to be pretty blurry. On yours, cleaning the camera. There you go. Oh, it cleans up good. All right, we're bringing you in. You'll be in here in just a second. I'm going to get us some audio here.
I got dust on here.
I don't know what's going on there, but
hey, wait a minute.
All right, we're bringing you in. You'll be in here in just a second. I'm going to get us some audio here.
I got dust on here.
I don't know what's going on there.
Let me clean this off for you.
You cannot.
It's a little better.
And that's a major difference. You can't play around with what happens on live, like social media. It just is what it is nowadays.
A little better. Okay. Let's see. Yep.
I can see you now. Can you hear us?
Good deal.
Okay. Let's see. Yep. Can you hear us okay, Jeff? Can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, perfect.
There's a slight delay to it, but
it's all good. If you're listening to it on Facebook or something live, it'll be the delay. If you use that link, it'll be more real time. It's all good. If you're listening to it on Facebook or something live, it'll be the delay. Just a second to get back up here. But Larry, in the meantime, I'm curious your opinion.
So my opinion on
wait a minute.
I'm personally not in favor of any mandate. Really, I'm not in favor of most things that take away people's free choice and free will. However, having said that, I believe in the community's right to have a mandate. So I live in St. Louis City. There is a mask mandate, and I happily oblige with that mask mandate. I wear my mask everywhere. I'm not here to protest it or disrupt it, so I honor it. And I think the mask mandates, whether you have one or not, should be an individual choice and a choice within each community. That's my take on it.
Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think people need to do more research on, not only masks, but like the composition of them. I mean, which type of mask you should be wearing. I mean, people are just doing whatever they want to do. There's no real rhyme or reason to it. So, you got some people wearing like motorcycle cloth masks, some people wearing the graphene oxide medical mask, some people wearing N95 masks. There's no rhyme or reason. So if people just studied and figured out exactly, it's kind of like me saying, what type of tires should we use on a motorcycle track when we race? You can't ride in rain tires unless it's raining. So if some guys are showing up in rain tires, some are showing up in racetrack tires, and some are showing up in street tires, you're going to have all three motorcycles just doing different things out there. So without the government leadership and what type of mask we should have been wearing in the first place, it just seems just like a bunch of non-leaders, pretty much. People just saying, wear a mask. So you walk to the front of a store and people are like, well, what are you wearing? I'm wearing a mask. And without leadership on what type of masks actually work, that lets you know this is all a sham. It's just what it is. It's like, it's a sham, in my opinion. So the fact that they couldn't even tell us what type of mask to wear, nobody was researching the type of mask to wear, all of that, let me know right off the bat, it must be a sham. It's something just wrong with that whole ordeal.
Well, I've heard a lot of research on the masks, and I mean, depending upon who I'm reading, I'm hearing different outcomes to the research. But bottom line is I hear that masks help for the most part. And I know there's different types of masks, but I also know this whole COVID thing is still new. So I'm just venturing to say that some type of mask is probably better than no type of mask. But until we get to the point where there's been specific research to say what mask works the best, and I don't know if we'll ever get there, do you believe that it should be up to the individual communities to decide whether there's mask mandates in their towns?
I believe so. Like if somebody says, hey, based on the research of what aerosols are, because we're talking about an atomic level chemical, an aerosol, which means does that even prevent a mask? Does it prevent it from getting through? That's one thing. If you believe it, then that's on you. You believe it. But there's people that don't believe that a mask like that can prevent an aerosol type of bacteria getting through. I mean, it's atomic level. So unless you're wearing something that's completely sealed, like an air tank or something like that, you're going to get something through the side of it or through the bottom or through. If you're in a heavily area with a lot of people, I don't think a mask is going to work. Just me. Maybe if you're in an area where there's like one person, two people, that's not a lot of aerosol. That's just you and somebody else. But if you're inside of a convention space and you're wearing a mask, I guarantee that mask is not going to work. It's not. There's way too much aerosol just going around. I think it's an overflow to where the air is going to be so densely packed with just aerosoled viruses or whatever's out there. Your mask is not going to help. It won't be effective. We think it will, but in reality, I think you'll still get infected. And your immune system has to fight at that point. The mask is not going to do it. At that point, your immune system has to do it.
Yeah, so let me just speak to that real quick. So number one, this whole COVID thing isn't new. The coronavirus has been around for generations. So this particular strain is new. But if you go back and you find a can of or a bottle of Lysol cleaner from the 80s, it says kills the human coronavirus on it. So the coronavirus is not new. It's been around for a long time.
Oh yeah.
From what I've heard, and again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not claiming to be a doctor. I'm making no medical claims because that's not my bag, right? But what I believe the research shows is that the particles of the coronavirus are too small to be captured through the mask. In fact, what the mask will do is it will cause you, as you're speaking, liquid particles will come out of your mouth, will get into the mask. When the coronavirus comes and hits those liquid particles, they will stay in your breathing way. So my understanding, and again, it's not medically based, it's just hearsay, and most things are nowadays.
Yeah.
But the mask can actually perpetuate or increase the spread of the virus. And if you go back and you look at Dr. Fauci from 3 or 4 years ago, and regardless of whether you think he's a genius or you think he's terrible, he is the quote unquote authority in this. And he said a few years ago, the way to stay safe in a pandemic is do not wear a mask, make sure you're eating healthy, making sure you're getting plenty of exercise, make sure you're getting plenty of rest. So
Yeah.
what I find interesting is now they say wear masks, they close all the gyms, they close all the restaurants that serve healthy food, and the only option is fast food. The grocery stores were closed or limited. So your ability to get healthy food was reduced. Your ability to get exercise was virtually eliminated. A friend of mine down in Melbourne, Australia is trying to do a program called the 75 Hard, and they closed all the gyms.
Yeah. See?
You know, so I mean, I think what Jeff was saying and what my contention and concern has been all along is, and we can switch to the virus in just a minute, but they don't really know the long-term effects because this is a new strain of the coronavirus, arguably a naturally mutated strain, arguably not a naturally mutated strain. There's a general rule of thought that says this has come out of Wuhan, China, as a manufactured thing. The government has investigated it. They've all but acknowledged that. So, you know, I'm concerned about being forced to wear a mask that potentially could cause it to catch in the mask and give me a higher chance of getting it when they reduce the gyms and they reduce good food sources and things have gotten prohibitively expensive. If you look, a McDouble still $1.19, but a grilled chicken breast is $8.
Yeah, so I mean, I just pulled up studies from the, FDA and everything that says that the masks do help and they do help block large particle droplets. But the point of all of it is I can find a study or a statistic for any point that anyone gives. I can, and we don't know. I mean, years ago we thought eating pasta was good. Then the carbs were bad. Like, we don't know, and whatever we find out next year,
Carbs are good for the record.
Maybe different statistics now, and it will be 5 years now. Things change. That to me isn't the whole point of it. The point is that if a community chooses to have a mask mandate, do you honor it?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that depends on the people in the community, I would say, because you have people like me. Like I use a lot of examples, like just nature examples. My old roommate back in the day, I became an accountant. He became a physics major, so he ended up doing biology, physics, and he became the chief biologist in Colorado.
I thought you were a bodybuilder.
No,
You look like a bodybuilder. All right.
I know everybody says it's like, nope, not me. And so, like, I look at it from a common sense standpoint. Like, imagine, let's say I put water on my counter. Let's say I put some water on my counter and I blew flour across it. The flour would stick to the water. Things stick to moisture. So if you have a mask on and you're speaking and there's droplets and there's moisture inside of that mask, things are going to stick to that moisture. If you put water on the ground and wind blows dust, the dust is going to stick on the water. It's going to blow across the dry concrete. It won't be there, but it'll stay wherever the water and the moisture is. Moisture holds more than what people think it does. I mean, things in open free wind, it'll blow right by. But because moisture, it has gravity to it. So if you're speaking and you've got droplets inside of a mask, it's going to attract whatever's out there that's aerosoled out there. If it's flour, the flour is going to stick to the moisture. If it's dust, the dust is going to stick to the moisture. That's just what moisture does from just a common sense standpoint. And it's not that, hey, I'm going to speak less because I don't want to wear a mask and put moisture out. So I understand about the mandate thing. You want to know if a certain community, let's say my neighborhood, puts out a mask mandate, should everybody have to abide by it? I think everybody should sit down and speak about it from a common sense standpoint and say, what does a mask do? Like, what does our human nature do? What does a mask do? The prevention, just, you got to speak about everything involved, not just from one standpoint. But I get what you're saying, though.
Yeah, so this, I mean, I just want to get back to the topic tonight. It's not whether
the mask works or not.
It's not whether COVID is real or not. It's whether there should be free choice and free will. And I think there should always be free choice and free will. I think a business owner should have the right to put up a sign saying masks are required in my establishment. And I think they should have the ability to put up a sign that says masks are optional in my place of business. I mean, today I walked into 2 businesses that said we strongly urge you to have a mask, and I chose not to wear a mask because I read it as strongly urge. I walked into yet another business today where they said that I can't remember the exact wording, but it was like, we would like everybody to wear a mask when you walk in. And I did that because they asked me to wear a mask.
Just out of respect.
And I had a choice of not going into that business. So I think like free will, you can shop in St. Louis City where there's a mask mandate. You can go to St. Louis County where it's only a requested mandate. And you can go to Jefferson County where there isn't. So I will always believe in the person's right to choose, the community's right to choose, and in free will. I am not generally in favor of any laws that take away that freedom.
Yeah, I'd love to speak to that, Larry, because I am very much like, you've obviously gathered my opinion on the masks, right? So I don't really sugarcoat things, but I believe that it is up to the individual business owner who they allow in. I believe it's up to the individual community. If the community believes that there should be a mandate, I think that community should have a mandate. What I don't believe is that it should be a single executive at the top dictating what should happen for large groups or large areas. I think each community should have a choice. And the most simple way to do that is to leave it in the hands of the business owner, to leave it in the hands of the school district, to let the individuals make the choice. And the mask is one dimensional. So I'd love to switch gears from the masks real quick, because the masks are, you brought up a point. It's like after 9/11, we all changed the way we get on a plane, right? There's things that we have to do. There's other things that are in place. These are things that are temporary. And we can argue that the mask is no harm, no foul, right? It's on your face for a period of time and then it's off. The vaccines are a different story to me, though. The vaccine is you are putting something into your body. And I've heard all of the arguments around like both sides. I've heard the my body, my choice. How is that different argument? And I'm curious, and I really don't want to dive down the path of what the vaccine isn't or is, because I could debate that for hours upon end. I know Jeff is like super studied on it and can give the science behind it, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to invite him in here to be a part of this. And I love having guests that are educated, but this isn't about the science behind it. We should do a subject on that though, because that would be scary.
Yeah.
But this is about you're dictating what has to go into my body and literally taking freedoms and restrictions, taking away freedoms and imposing restrictions based on what you believe is best for me and my body. But the argument goes out the window if you're talking about a woman's right to choose with her sexuality or birth of a child or abortion rights. And again, I'm not arguing for one or the other, but I'm saying it seems like there is an attempt to take away the free will of choice for people when it comes to this vaccine more than anything I've ever seen. And just for me, it makes me a little nervous. Why the push? So Larry, I'd love to get your take on that first, and then Jeff, yours.
Well, my take is always consistent, and that is there should be free choice and free will. I am not in favor of in general of laws that say what you can and cannot do with your body or how you conduct yourself or how you conduct your business. And those a lot of my beliefs are controversial because if you say that there shouldn't be laws of how you conduct your business, well, then some people might be offended if I don't want African Americans in my business. Is that right? Can I say that? Because I think that they're more likely to rob me if that's what I think. I don't want unvaccinated people in because they're more likely to get me sick. I don't want this
a slippery slope.
So what I'm saying is, like, you can't have it both ways. Either you want free choice and free will, or you don't. But many people want the free choice and the free will when it's convenient to their point of view. But they don't want to when it takes to the next. So I just think I'm again big believer in free choice and free will. And I think give people people are smarter than, like, I don't want the government telling me what I can and cannot do. That's the bottom line. I really don't. And if there's a business, and there's many businesses in St. Louis that say, I won't let you in unless you're vaccinated and show proof of vaccine. Obviously, I'm not going to those businesses, but there's many people that do want to go to those businesses. And I think that's great. I am completely supportive of any business owner that wants to do that because, again, it's their business, it's their right.
True. And what I think about as far as free choice and everything, I believe whatever body you were born into, you have a choice over that body. There's people out there doing sex changes, that's on them. Breast augmentation, that's on them. Whatever body you're born into, that is your individual supreme property in the entire universe from here to Mars and Pluto. If you don't have, sovereignty over your own body, what do you have? What are you living for? Right. If you're born just to be somebody else's property, what makes you any different than a slave?
Yes. And I agree.
I think we got rid of that like 100 and something years ago, didn't we?
Exactly. My whole point right there. That's my point. There we go. So all they're doing is turning back the calendar to saying you don't have a choice.
Right.
Well, slavery ended a long time ago. People have a choice.
I think that's subjective because they're saying, and this is what I have a complaint about. They're saying you don't have a choice because it fits my current narrative, right?
Fact.
You don't have a choice because this is what is the popular opinion. And Larry and I joke all the time when we're like trying to razz somebody or give them a hard time. And, just remember 9 out of 10 doctors prefer Camel Unfiltered, right? It doesn't mean that it's going to be right. And years from now, they may come back and say, well, the vaccine causes this or does that. And again, I don't know if it will. I'm assuming and hoping and praying it's completely safe.
Yeah.
But thousands of people have found out that it isn't already. What's the liability?
Thousands.
Whether it's safe or not. I'm assuming that it's safe. I just don't want it. And I think so it has nothing to do with whether it's safe or not. I'm going to assume it's safe. And if I knew 100% that it was safe, I still wouldn't want the vaccine because this is just a personal belief, but there's not enough talk about keeping a healthy body, preventative health, staying fit and physically fit and watching the foods that you intake and juices that you eat and all that stuff. That's, to me, where the focus should be, or at least the focus should shift to at least 50% of that. But on a personal note, it has nothing to do. I mean, I think Jim thinks differently. He's afraid to take the vaccine because it might do something to his body. I don't have any fear that the vaccine will do anything to my body. I believe in my body, and I believe my body could compensate for the vaccine. I just choose not to put anything in my body that's like a vaccine.
Yeah. So I'm not anti-vaccine. I've got the polio vaccine, the smallpox, all of those things. I don't know if you do, Larry. We've never even talked about that, but I'm willing to bet that you do.
Yeah, you'd have to ask my mom, but I think so.
Right. So I'm not anti-vaccine. And like we could talk about the science behind how you come to a vaccine in under 9 months that has full clearance. But what I'm talking about is I believe like you. I believe that my body would compensate for things. 2 years ago, I was put on 17 medications to save my life. Today, I'm on none, right? So I believe that your body has an ability to do things to protect and heal itself. I believe in that wholeheartedly. What I'm saying, though, is if they're going to give my children something. For example, they're going to give them cough medication because they're sick. And I say, are there any long-term effects? And the doctor says, I don't think so, but we don't know. Under no circumstances would I give my child that cough medicine, as Larry coughs, which is funny. I would never give them that cough medicine because the cough isn't worse than the unknown, right? And I've had COVID, and a lot of people have. And my 17-year-old who's been exposed to COVID more times than I can imagine, he's never gotten it. He doesn't have the antibodies. He's been tested and tested and tested. I believe he has natural immunity, right? So, like, why should someone get something put into them that they don't know the results when they've been exposed to the potential problem and they're immune to it, or they can't get it, or they've had it?
And I think it's Russian roulette.
This virus anyway, they acknowledge that.
Yeah, I think it's Russian roulette because a lot of people are talking about, they're trying to compare this mRNA technology to a viral vaccine. We had viral vector vaccines with chickenpox, viral vector with measles, MMR, rubella, all of those, smallpox. Those are all viral vector vaccines. That means you got part of that inactive virus into your body so your body can generate antibodies. With mRNA technology, there is no virus in it whatsoever. You cannot compare a mRNA technology vaccine to a viral vector vaccine. Two whole different worlds. This is the mRNA technology has been developed for past 20 or 30 years. They've been working on it. And because they've been working on it for so long, they've been using it in different things, not in humans, in different things, but not in humans. This is the first time it's been in humans, and it's not looking good. I mean, look at Israel. Israel's got half the, they've got about 80-90% of their population vaccinated, and nearly everybody who's got the virus are people who are vaccinated, because this is technology. It's not a medicine in there. They got the nanolipid particles in there that allows the mRNA to be inserted into your body. Your body recognizes and knows a fat. It knows a fat. That's what a nanolipid is. It's a fat. Your body understands that. So it won't fight the fat, but it'll fight the spike protein. And that's where the antibodies come into play, because it sees the spike protein as being a foreign material and it tries to fight it. If you do not have antibodies or the ability to generate antibodies, this vaccine will not work for you. No matter what you try or do, if you cannot generate antibodies, you're done, because that toxin in your body is gonna have you doing, is gonna put you in an anaphylactic shock pretty much. You're gonna end up with myocarditis. You're gonna end up with, heavy breathing. You're gonna end up with something because your body could not fight the spike protein that's involved in an mRNA technology. It just can't do it. And that's what I don't think people aren't understanding. They keep talking about chicken pox, and I'm like, no, those are viral vector vaccines. Those are using inactive viruses to infect you on purpose, and you immediately generate antibodies. With this, you don't. You can go 2 or 3 weeks, and next thing you know, you got COVID. It's like, how did you get COVID? Well, you didn't generate antibodies.
2 weeks after she got the first shot, she got COVID.
Yeah, it's like you get COVID. You cannot tell me any other vaccine out there, mRNA or viral vector, in which the majority of the people that got the vaccine ended up with the virus. Nobody can tell me one. I've asked a lot of people for one, but I get called a goof and all this other crazy stuff, but they cannot answer my question. Tell me, what vaccine have you ever gotten that everybody has almost gotten sick from getting it? You can't name one. So we got to stop comparing mRNA technology to viral vectors. That's where the understanding needs to begin, because they're comparing apples to oranges, thinking that they know what they're talking about, and they don't. I'm like, don't tell me about chicken pox. This is not a chicken pox, smallpox. And my son has all of his vaccines. I even posted it on my page. He's got every single vaccine. I'm not anti-vax. I'm anti-experimental technology in my body is what I am. So I'll do vaccines, but those are vaccines that are viral vectors. Those are not mRNA technology vaccines. It's something totally different.
Yeah. So can you hear me now? I hit the mute.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Oh,
so for me, I love the science behind what you're saying. And like I said, we could go on about this for weeks. And I happen to agree with a lot of what you're saying. But what I will tell you is I guess my big thing is, and I want to reel this back on topic, right? Who has the authority, and or why do we presume to give them the authority over our body when it comes to this one particular topic, when every other thing would be off limits? If I told somebody that they had to take a drink of alcohol and they said, no, I'm against alcohol, I won't do it. And I told them they had to because it's for the good of the public, right? What gives me the right to make them make a decision that compromises their morals? So
it's fear. That's where it's
fear.
It's fear. It's that by you not doing something, you may give me something that I don't want. And it's fear-based.
But that goes against the science. And I don't want to talk about the vaccine, but what I will talk about is the vaccine protects people from getting COVID. If the unprotected people who don't get COVID are able to give COVID to the vaccinated people, and that's their fear, does the vaccine even work?
No, the vaccine, I don't think anyone says the vaccine works 100%. I've never heard that.
Right, but I have heard the argument that the unvaccinated are killing the vaccinated because they won't get the vaccine.
Yeah, well, that gets back to, I've heard the opposite argument, and for any argument or any study, there's different ones. The point is that should there be a law saying what everyone has to do? And I'm not in favor of that because it takes away the free choice of my body.
Jeff, did we lose you? You're frozen in time. We may have lost him. I hope we didn't lose us. We'll find out. So either we're there or we're not. Jeff just left, and you're still there, Larry. So I know.
So
I know it works.
I don't know how much more I need to say it in different ways than I've already said it, but I believe that there should be free choice and free will. I think that, and that's my bottom line.
What? Because Larry Cohn said so. Right, but I guess I'm really struggling. We've talked about this, and like we travel a lot. You and I travel a lot. So what happens if they restrict our ability to fly if you don't have a vaccine?
I would get the vaccine.
So you would be coerced and forced into getting the vaccine
because
your rights would be taken away to do something. You currently have the right to do it, but your right would be taken away.
I wouldn't look at it that way.
Well, how else could you look at it?
I would look at it that would be the easiest path for me to take. That my love for travel and exploring and going new places is more important than having or not having the vaccine. So like, I would not set it up to be a failure for me. I would set it up to be a victory for me. I would set it up to say, wow, this is great. I can now travel.
And that's called mastering the spin.
Right, exactly. So I would just look at it differently. Hopefully it won't come to that. And like I said, I don't have any intention of getting the vaccine. But if there were laws that restricted my ability to move with what I call freedom, then I would get the vaccine. Because like I said, I don't think the vaccine is going to harm my body. It's just that I'm confident in my body to take care of itself without the vaccine.
Yeah, we lost Jeff, but that's okay for right now. I'll show you that this is kind of funny, and then we'll wrap up here. But I just got an image emailed to him. He must have. For those of you that have known me for a long time, there's a couple of companies that I really don't like, and one of them is Spectrum Cable. Charter cable. So it looks like that's Jeff's signal. Looks like it says we can't detect your cable right now, which stands to reason. So let me ask you this final question. And Jeff, I'll ask you to comment and we'll relay the message to those of you that can see the comments. It's there. Is the requirement of the mask mandate, and I'm going to ask you this, Larry, and I think I know your answer to both of these, is the requirement of the mask mandate, there we go. Jeff is coming back on with us. So I ask you guys both this question. Jeff, you got to switch your camera. But is the requirement of the mask mandate the same as a woman's right to choose? what goes on with her body, or anybody's right to choose what goes on with their body. So Jeff, if you can comment, I'll let you comment, but Larry, you're first.
Yeah, so I could argue again, yes or no for it. So the reason I would say, yes, it's the same because it's telling me what I can and cannot do with my body. But I would also say that a woman's decision to have or not have an abortion has no effect on me. And there are studies out there that says your decision not to have a vaccine has an effect on me.
Right. Well, then let me ask a different question. If you make a choice that 100% you know or feel has an effect on you, and your choice may or may not have an effect on someone else, whose choice or whose consequence is more consequential? Like,
I'm not sure if I understand your question, but I will answer it the same way I've answered everything. And that is, I believe in free choice and free will. So I don't know if that answers what your question is.
So let me answer my own question. So I believe that although I don't like the mask mandate, I think it goes against what I feel. I believe that a mask mandate is completely different than like a woman's right to choose what she does with her reproductive health. I think they're way different things. I think that's essentially like a school uniform. You have to wear the skirt, you have to wear the blouse, you have to wear the plaid pants, whatever. Those are external factors that are coming on top of you, and then you can just take them off.
Yeah, and you don't have to. You can always go to a different school.
Completely agree with that. What about the vaccine? Do you feel that is the same as a woman's right to choose, or do you feel it's different?
I mean, I guess it's different.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like it's different. I think that one is the same. Like if you say I can't tell you what to do with your body, that should be universal. And I don't know if I was asking the question right. I know that's how you feel too, Larry. That
Yes,
like it's
I amend my answer.
whatever your free choice is. Here's the thing, and we have received heat and feedback on a couple of different topics that we did, and this one was probably the biggest one. So I just want to reiterate, we are not anti-vaxxers. I'm not an anti-vax person. I have every vaccine. My children have every vaccine. My son has like the COVID vaccine. My other son is too young. So I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm a pro-choicer. Like you have the right to choose what you do with your body, whatever that looks like. If you want to be straight edge and you don't even put caffeine in your body, then that's your choice. And I support that. If you want to go drink every day, I want to hear, can you type what that means, Kylie? She just put the definition of vaccine has changed. So we'll see her response. And she's a brilliant lady, so I like her feedback. But I believe in your right to choose whatever you do with your body, whatever that looks like. She says they changed the definition so that this quote unquote vaccine could be approved. Do you know what was changed specifically in it? And if you're camera ready, I'll bring you right on to talk about it if you want. But we've only got about 10 minutes or so left that we can stay on. So you let me know if you want to come on here.
Respectfully, I don't think that's the topic of this call, whether the vaccine is a vaccine, whether it's not a vaccine. Because again, there are so many studies out there. Whatever is shown, I promise I can find another study that says something different. It's whether there should be free choice and free will.
That I'll give you. And I think, yes, there should always be free choice. There should always be free will, and you should always have a right to choose as long as you aren't harming someone else. Like, I don't believe you should have the right to murder whoever you want. Those are different things, but what you put into your body should be your choice. I agree. There's a long here. I can always count on my dad to have paragraphs and paragraphs.
And what your dad is saying is exactly my point when you asked about the abortion and other things. People would argue that whether I terminate the pregnancy or not doesn't really have any direct effect on the stranger at the grocery store. But because I'm choosing to be unvaccinated, when I go grab my head of lettuce, I could be endangering the person next to me. So that that is the argument, and I completely get that.
Okay, but I don't get it because it has a direct impact on your partner that helped you get pregnant.
No, for sure on your partner.
And it has a direct impact on the baby that was in your stomach.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, those
not
are
on not on the stranger.
right, but those are known direct impacts.
Yeah,
They will have an impact on others. There is no immaculate deconception.
No, there is. Well, everything you do has an impact. If you speak, that potentially has an impact on others.
Correct.
I mean,
Totally agree.
Anything. I mean, everything has an impact on others. The way you say hello or ignore someone could have an impact. You don't know. So I mean, that would be endless. But clearly, the argument that because you're choosing to be unvaccinated could potentially get me sick is a stronger argument. And I respect it and I get it.
Right. I still believe that you should have the right to choose what you want. You should not have your freedoms restricted, and there should not be penalties imposed on you because of it. One of the big things that's been a controversial subject recently, and Larry, I didn't even think about bringing this up, but it just made me think of it. But what about the employers that are being required to put vaccine mandates in place? And there is a growing movement of employers who are going to refuse to do this under the presumption that they can't like shut them all down. But I think they might try. So what is
the same as it's always been? It should be free choice and free will.
How did I know that was going to be your answer?
I'm not in favor of a law that says the employers have to do something. I think if I'm an employer and I want to require a vaccine or mask mandate in my business, I should absolutely have that right. And you as an employee can either choose to work there or you can work somewhere else. But as far as a blanket law to cover every employer and everything, no, I'm not in favor of it.
So for me also, and this is just another, I mean, it's like sidebar to what you were talking about, but there is a provision that says there is a separation of church and state. In other words, you cannot be forced to do something that goes against your religious freedoms, against your religious beliefs. So what about the people that are citing religious freedom from this?
Yes,
there are legitimately religions that don't allow you to get vaccines. It's part of their religious practice.
My understanding is that's exempt or something. I'm not really sure on that.
Does anybody know and can comment?
I know that like churches, I read about a church in Oklahoma that if you give a donation to the church, they'll give you a religious exemption. So
wow,
I'm sure
I think that church should be shut down.
All sorts of scams and everything, but you know, my answer is really the same for everything: free choice, free will.
I couldn't
if that's because
agree
of your
more.
Religion, that's your free choice. If it's not because of your religion, it's just because you feel like that's what you want to do, that's your business.
Yep. All right, Larry, do we have anything else?
Nope.
Yes. So I love the comments that are coming in. Yeah. So I don't have anything else either. I will tell you that, again, I support what Larry said. I support everyone's right to choose whatever they wish to choose. But your choice should be just that, your choice, not my choice. That's what I believe. Next week, we have a topic that is not controversial on the surface, but controversial for us. We get a lot of people that come at us quite a bit of, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And what I will say is what we're talking about next week is taking risks, why we've done it, why it sometimes doesn't work out, and why the lessons learned from it not working out always create a fantastic story. So join us a week from today. You can get the information for that on our website. You can see it on Eventbrite, Facebook, anywhere where you follow Jim and Larry, we'll have that information out. Larry, the final words are to you to close us out.
Free choice and free will. What a shocker. Thanks for watching, everybody.
That was it.
And we will see you next week.
Sounds groovy. Bye, everybody.